Morning. Good morning, buen dia, maha, mache. Good evening, whenever you are listening to this. We're just gonna get started, man. Man, shout out to Clip. This album's crazy.
POV kilos in my mind. Back take Amtrak down south, then she flies back. My connect has ponytails tied back. I just hit 6 mil behind Tyvek. They content create, I despise that. I create content, then they tries that. Run these Jews, there's rules I don't buy back. I've topped all these lists, where's my prize at? All I see is 60-day stars and 20-year thousandaires. Not enough shopping, whole lot of browsing theirs. My reinvention, I know you thinking how's it fair? You stream kings, but you never fit a crowd in there. Supreme team parallels when the powder clears. I seen things that I'm still not even proud to share. You Zeus Network niggas, you hear me loud and clear. Get these 5,500 to hosting niggas out of here. Sand color Rolls Royce.
Welcome to the first installment, man. I am your host. Put this all the way down. I am your host, Saadiq Spears. And welcome. It's not a podcast, man. It's a show. People gonna ask me, Saadiq, what is the pod about, or what is the show about? I and we just say I for now. I will be digesting current issues, current events, business, media, politics, and so whatever, with a Gen Z and a fresh, witty perspective. It's that simple. Shout out Perspective the Network. But just to make it clear, I digest current issues in a Gen Z, fresh, and witty perspective. That's really what I got for you, man. And today, what I'm going to be speaking about is, I think it's a perfect fitting because it will give me a foot in the door, and you'll see what I am interested in ultimately, and what I will be speaking about a lot. Because to be honest, we got a lot of effery going around within media. It's actually sickening. It's actually sickening, and we're gonna talk about it today. The list is long. We got a bunch of topics that we're gonna be speaking about, and we got a great show for y'all today. When I got my mentor, I was talking to my mentor about this network. I was talking to my mentor about this network and about this podcast in the beginning, right? And I was telling him about being within a media space and what does it look like opening a media network, right? And he was like, all right, I like the way you're thinking, but think about it like this. And my mentor is 19 Keys, by the way. He's think about it like this. Media and everything has a health bar. Think about it as a health bar. Where is media as a state? Is it in bad health? Is it in good health? Where can you pick it up? Where is it lacking? And try to fill in that space. I think Gen Z right now is in a good inflection point where we are heavily on TikTok, so you get multiple different opinions at once. But not a lot of commentators are able to digest it in just one format, in this format, and in a show or podcast type of format. And I think that I'm able to fill in that space, not only because I talk about this stuff every day. I mean, I'm a politics business guy type of guy, but it's something I've been training for since I was 16. And I'm just glad that now I have the space not only to do it, but also the capacity and also just the training up for it. And looking at this health bar that we're talking about, I mean, I got a whole bunch of names right now that I'm about to start talking about because it's actually insane. And the first thing that I want to bring up, and I got some clips for all of them. The first thing that I want to bring up is Nelk for just creating or dropping their interview with Benjamin Netanyahu, the Prime Minister of Israel. Now listen, I have been a champion of independent media. Why? Because I think it's a revolution at this point. Like, there's so many different people entering the space in which traditional media does not have to, have some type of strings and arms around. And traditional media, I'm just talking about money. Like you see traditional media getting attacked right now, litigation, stuff like that. A lot of these independent media creators don't have to go through that unless you're like Alex Jones and just saying that stuff sometimes, right? In these spaces, you're able to live a little bit more freely, maybe be a little bit more edgier, maybe ask a little bit better questions because you don't have these corporate ties that you have to answer to, which is why I was a huge champion of this, right? There's some people that have been leading this cause. You know, it just so happens that a lot of comics are leading this cause, which has been very interesting to see, to say the least. And to be honest, I don't know a lot of these comics past their podcasts. I don't watch a lot of them for comedy. I laugh at their jokes on their podcast. I actually really watch them for either their takes and or their guests that they have on their show. So I guess I'll just start off with Nelk, and I'm going to move into Andrew Schultz because that's the comedy piece I'm talking about. Nelk has just dropped their interview with Benjamin Netanyahu, the Prime Minister of Israel, and obviously a very controversial figure at this moment. Some people would say war criminal. And it gets to that point where, why does two guys that are pranksters get an interview with the Prime Minister of Israel? I'm talking about a prime minister, a leader of a significant country in this world, got an interview with these pranksters. I can't believe it. I can't believe it. And it's almost like a spit in the face. They're saying, let me play the clip. Let me just play the clip because it's going to be simple. This is crazy work. Try to find this. Here we go.
It's not.
All right, here we go.
We just should not be doing this.
Well, we're too far too gone.
Here we have the Prime Minister of Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu. He's about to walk into the podcast right now. This is probably
you should not be doing
one of
this.
the most, if not the most controversial podcast we
For sure the most
have
we've
ever done.
Yeah, 100%.
Maybe not the most controversial we'll ever do.
Maybe not.
But
maybe
on this issue, you read stuff online. Probably like a lot of you guys that, you read stuff online.
This is insane.
And I feel like on the internet now too, it's like you don't even know what's real anymore. Like
So practically
you
they
read
just called
shit
each
and
other
it's like
journalists making a joke of it. If you could see the video on this, I know it's an audio broadcast as well. If you could see the video on this, they have a tie off. It's a joke. They have a tie off in their suit. They're making a joke out of this. But the problem that I have with this the most is, why does journalism become such a joke in this day and age? I understand the rise in podcasts. I understand the rise in streamers. And I understand the rise, and I understand it well because, one, I grew up off of this. I grew up off of the YouTube age, the YouTube era, and I wanted to make this point because it's very important. We already gone past the fact that we know that these YouTube creators should have some type of responsibility with their influence. And I'm not saying they're influencing people to go support and or hate Netanyahu. I'm not saying that. I'm saying, how do you and your team find it okay for you to go interview somebody that could have literal bodies on their jacket? And when I mean bodies on their jacket, we're talking about presidents, prime ministers, leaders of the world. These are controversial figures because they can have bodies on their jacket. They can have blood on their hands. They can lead to a lot of people that could be either dying, starving, impoverished. There's a lot of pain that comes with this. There's a lot of religious turmoil that comes with this, and y'all just find it like a joke. Y'all just find it a joke. Whether you're on the other side or whether you're on Israel's side, or it doesn't even matter what side. Like, it does not matter what side. Y'all are finding this as a joke. People on all sides should be outraged. It's disgusting. It's disgusting. They're getting killed in their comments for it because how do you even find this as something comfortable? Like, people keep talking about content over everything, COE. Like, this day and age that we've gotten to is just so far removed from just actual just humanity, some type of humanity in which you're gonna actually think about these things before you go and do it. There's no way that their team signed on to something like this. There's no way, but there is a way. There is a way. When I talk about Nelk and these pranksters, we already know how instrumental they were during the election, right? We know that, I used to watch Nelk all the time, so I know their rhetoric. I know that they're just a bunch of frat boys. They don't care about politics, but they somehow get all these political interviews. I wonder why. It's probably because a lot of them are too dense to be able to ask some real questions. You know, and this is the problem when it comes to this influence stuff. We already knew back in the day, 6 years ago, when Logan Paul went to the suicide forest in Japan, that and it's not just because he has a kid audience, is that there's problems that can arise when you don't start thinking about the content that you're putting out. And this is just irresponsible. It's bad behavior. It's bad behavior. And I keep trying to say, it's like you gotta start talking to these people like kids. It's bad behavior. Fix that. This should not be okay. And that's the thing about outrage at this point too, is that it only takes just a little bit of time, you know, or it takes a little bit of time and people gonna be right back on their side. Doesn't matter. Don't worry. I don't forget. I think this is very corny. Very corny. Now let's move on to the next, man. Andrew Schultz. Let me play the clip of this. And this is why I'm going through this media deep dive real quick. It's just because I want to set this tone for this pod and for this show. The reason why I'm setting this tone is because I'm a media guy at the very root of this stuff. I hold this stuff dearly to my heart because I watch a lot of this stuff. This is my intake. This has been my source, my medium since I was 16. So to see stuff go down this way, to see independent media creators go down this route was so unnecessary. I thought they had a really good route that they could have done. But you're interviewing the most controversial people and don't even take the second to think about some good questions for them. You don't even press them a little bit. What's the point of being independent? What's the point about being independent? There's nothing different anymore. It's just me liking somebody and then you want to go get the craziest interview that you can get. Doesn't matter if they're a murderer. Doesn't matter if they're a leader of the world. It doesn't matter about nothing. Andrew Schultz. Let's talk. This is Cigar, who was doing breaking points and asking questions towards Flagrant.
Independent or not non-independent media. And they were like, well, Trump is going on these podcasts to kind of whitewash his reputation and basically to not face like, quote, tough journalistic questions.
Yeah, it just depends what your expectation of journalism is. If you're in front of me, I'm going to ask you the things that I'm curious about. People are like, why don't you ask him about Epstein? I'm like, oh, so he can give the same fucking answer he's given for the last 2 decades?
You know, when we had Trump on, people were like, why didn't you ask him about Epstein?
Let me say this too. I watch Flagrant often. Let me not say that. I used to watch Flagrant often. I watched Andrew Schultz. I know of Andrew Schultz as a podcaster first. Akash. I know about Akash and them as a podcaster first. And this is not a slight. This is just me telling you as a young person growing up, this is who I come to know these guys as. Podcasters. Right? And I feel like a lot of these comics are able to hide behind the fact that their inception is, hey, I'm a comic first. I'm a comic. Most of these are jokes. I'm asking stuff that I just want to ask. And, you know, there's not too much seriousness that needs to come to this because I'm not serious from inception. And this is why the medium is the message. A podcast is a long-form piece of content in which people are able to get different humanized feelings and just feels emotional, just emotions that come through the podcast, whether or not you're joking or not, right? And there's people that are going to interpret and watch your videos not because you're funny, but also just because you may have good takes and they might agree with you with those takes, and or they're just watching those guests. Me, I am one of those people. I don't watch Andrew Schultz comedy specials. I will not go to one of his shows. I don't find them funny like that. I like the show, or I liked the show. When you have people like Trump on and give a softball interview, which how I felt. I think Joe Rogan had the hardest interview, and that wasn't even that hard. You know, it does appear to be that you're tap dancing in order to get some type of acclaim or to just get this interview. And what I don't like, what I hate about this, is that this backtrack has been so nasty because for the last 6 months, I haven't been, I do not want to watch the pod because of how heavily MAGA it was. Now, whether or not you like Trump or not, doesn't have to mean that you have to go champion every single thing that they're doing, right? And his pushback right now is saying, hey, I don't want to ask those questions because that wasn't the questions I wanted to ask. Well, leading up to an election, I think there's a responsibility you have towards your audience. Is that crazy to say? Is that crazy to say? I don't think that's crazy to say. In addition to that, I just don't understand why they feel as if you are prepared to have this type of conversation. Everybody feels like they God over here. Like, man, I'm sometimes I'll be even scared to interview some regular person. Why do you feel like you're comfortable to be able to interview somebody that is a master at doing this? Now, Joe Rogan's a little bit different. Joe Rogan, again, I know him as a podcaster, not a comic. Joe Rogan is a great podcaster, asks great questions. Maybe he can get at this intersection, and I think he understands a little bit of the heaviness that comes with bringing this person onto this pod. It's just a little sad to see Andrew, after all these times, kind of break it down through, backtrack in all these different ways. Now, my biggest problem with all this too, it's not my biggest problem, but a huge problem I have with this too is that the only reason that they're pushing back now is because of Epstein. Now maybe I'm biased. Maybe I'm the one that's a little bit off in this, because I'm gonna say that. I grew up being scared of the Illuminati, right? My friends used to send me them videos, them Illuminati videos, and it was just Beyonce and Jay-Z throwing up the rock. I didn't even know what the rock was. I just knew that triangle and that eye felt like Illuminati. My friends would send me those videos. That's what I was scared of as a kid. So to me, thinking of elites doing some weird, crazy stuff wasn't out of the picture for me. It was never out of the picture for me. It's actually very unsurprising that a Jeffrey Epstein was alive and operating in the way he did, right? Now, I get it. Everybody's mad. Dude didn't release the files, you know. I don't think anybody wants to protect a child sex trafficking ring other than, the people that's protecting it. But, oh, man. I had this on the whole time. Whatever. We're just going to keep it on. I don't think anybody wants to, protect that other than the people that's protecting it. But I feel like we have a lot more issues that you could be mad about with this dude and the administration aside from the Epstein case. That's in my opinion. I don't know. It's not that I don't care, because my heart goes out to the victims and everybody else affected like that. But, and obviously I don't want the government hiding out a bunch of stuff. But if you look into COINTELPRO, we been knew this. We been knew the government been hiding a bunch of stuff. Y'all are mad about Epstein while there's people getting their Medicaid cut? Y'all are mad about Epstein while there's families being ripped apart? Y'all are mad about Epstein while we have economic policies are getting put in and adding much, 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 much more money to the debt? The deficit? I'm just confused. That's not where my head is at right now. The Epstein list is not where my head is at right now. I understand why people are outraged, but you have a lot more to be outraged with than these Epstein files. And this is what I mean by independent media creators and their responsibility, because of their audience. Like, they do not represent their audience. I said this in one of my videos back on YouTube, and shout out Perspective the Network, of course. I said this in one of my videos that these creators are making so much more money and are so far removed from their actual audience that they're not only misrepresenting their audience, but their audience does not know that, right? Like, it's a parasocial relationship with a lot of people. Granted, though, there's a lot of people that just watch and it's passive watchers, but there's a good subsect of people that are parasocial and look at these people like gods, because that's how it is. When you have this familiarity with the person, you listen to them every week, every couple of days, you build this familiarity with this person without even knowing. You listen to their takes a lot more closely. You start believing in it implicitly before it becomes explicit. So when Schultz or Rogan or any of these independent media creators are able to talk about this type of stuff, right, and it does not translate Well, it translates well to their audience, but doesn't translate in the economic policies that would actually benefit for them. Like, I don't think I don't think Flagrant or Rogan's podcast is all a bunch of elites, high income earning people. So they don't represent their audience at all. So all these policies that they're talking about that was just jokes 6 months ago, and now it's coming to play, and now they're all backtracking and trying to find different ways to get out of it and not take accountability. Man, they were never going to be affected, and that audience was always going to be affected. I'm sorry, people need to start treating their audiences like they're all kids. Audiences are all like kids. They're kid-like in that instance. I understand there's ways that you can say, hey, you know, I'm a grown adult. I listen to stuff. Sometimes I agree, sometimes I don't. But man, we've all fell victim, just like these podcasters, fell victim to somebody that you thought was not no savior, but somebody that you thought was real and was not. Which is why you have to be even more careful when you have millions of people following you, watching you, taking what you say to heart. You have to be very careful on that, because if not, then you can lead this path of destruction, which what we just saw, and now they're all backtracking. Man. Whew. Now, I keep coming back to this health bar of media. We're in a bad spot right now. And to be honest, I was not going to say that before 2 hours ago, because somehow, some way, YouTube popped up, Jubilee popped up. I'm not going to lie. It's not somehow, some way. I did be watching Jubilee sometimes. It'd be a guilty pleasure. I'm sorry. It'd be a guilty pleasure. Now, usually they're bad. Is it unhinged? A little bit. The video that I just watched with, let me pull up his name, Mehdi Hassan. Shout out Mehdi. Man is he poised. And man, I don't know how I would have handled myself on that interview, because to be honest, I got scared watching it 25 minutes in. I know those type of people. I felt that energy around those type of people sometimes. And when I say those type of people, man, do I have a clip? I hope I have a clip. Let me pull up the clip. One second. This is just downright bad, man. Like, this is what I mean by that health bar. It's just, it's in a bad spot. And luckily, you got me. Luckily, and let me not say that like that, but luckily you got, I don't know, hope. And we're going to talk about the attack on media as well, Stephen Cobear and stuff like that on the traditional media side, because I think it's going to be very important.
I'm much more interested in this. So
yeah, absolutely.
How do we get to an autocracy?
I think, quite frankly, that if we are able to enact local leaders...
Who is the we, by the way?
I think, quite frankly, these far-right conservatives sitting right around
White
me.
people?
It is.
Yeah,
No
absolutely.
brown people. So,
Well,
some
actually,
of you guys,
I have quite...
some of the people
I
in this
have-
room
Yo,
don't
Mehdi's
make the
sharp.
cut from what I can see.
Actually,
He's very sharp. This is my first
hold on
time
for a
seeing
moment.
him.
I do think that there are people who happen to not be white who do actually have history in this country and have roots in this country. For instance, parts of this country, which is majority white and should stay that
How
way.
does the United States... I mean, we've gone so off topic, but how does the United States look like under you? Sorry, what's your name?
My name is, my name's Connor. It's a pleasure to meet you.
Took a little bit of a doubt there.
Oh,
to say
well,
your name.
I use
Connor,
a pseudonym online,
fair enough,
but
Connor,
fair enough.
How would Connor's America look? What would it look?
Okay, so talking about kings and stuff like that, man, if you have not gone and watched, I don't want to send people to watch this, to be honest, because the reason why I'm talking about the state of media is that a lot of people get their news, their information, their takes. I mean, I say it myself. I go to Jubilee and I watch a lot of these surrounding videos, and I want to see how people squirm. I want to see how people think. I want to see how people talk about this stuff. I watched the one with Destiny. I watched the one with Sam Cedar. I watched the one with a bunch of different people. Why? Because not only do I want to see how people react, but I also want to see these guys that are surrounded. I mean, the person that's in the middle that's talking to a lot of these different people, how their takes go and work against people, I guess. It's a weird way to say it. I don't think this is good content anymore for people to watch. This is not beneficial. This is very scary. I mean, most of the stuff that was being said, I mean, it's just a lot of fascism. It's just talking about being able to change the fabric of this country because they don't like what's going on in, I guess, the democratic regime. and want to change it completely. Whether you're Democrat, Republican, or whatever, this is very anti-democracy. I mean, he was talking about a leader. This guy specifically was talking about a leader that has killed hundreds. I think it was tens of thousands of people, and he was cool with it. And it's not about this person existing. Keep that in mind. It's not about this person existing. It's about Jubilee putting them on this to go debate Mehdi Hassan, which I think is a premier journalist. Is this a debate anymore? Is this what journalism has gotten to? Is this what we do? Like, I understand, like, trust me, I love the fact that I think it was, I don't know, the 60 Minutes, I'm forgetting his name, who passed, where you have a lot of, a lot of Socratic type of discussion, where a lot of different other people, different viewpoints. I love different viewpoints. That's my bag. But having this type of, I don't know, media get put out that where people take a lot of these words as law, and some people feel represented. I mean, like, I haven't seen a lot of this out in the open like this forever. My whole life, I haven't seen stuff like this. And this is multiple people coming and speaking to Mehdi in this way, and in this racist way, to be honest, and anti-immigrant way, even though he's a naturalized citizen. It's just weird to see this on this type of scale. I mean, like, biggest scale. If I go to the video right now, I mean, it's at 6.1 million views. Whether or not they're killing these guys in the comments does not matter. 6.1 million people saw it. It's not progressive. And I'm not talking about progressive in the sense of a Democrat and Republican. I'm talking about it's just not progressive for our world. I want better for our media. I do. And that's what I mean by this health bar is just very low. Like, it feels like a Minecraft. We're on 2 hearts right now. We're on 2 hearts. Earlier this morning, I felt like we was on 4. But I'm realizing how far we're just keep getting into where it's just all sensationalism. And now we just look for every different type of click. And I understand media has been in this type of way. But independent media was supposed to skate this. It was supposed to skate this. Granted, though, you still have different channels. Don't get me wrong. Like, I like Redacted, which is like an independent media channel. You got Roland Martin. I like it. There's a couple of people and stuff like that. I'm just saying what goes mainstream should not be as mainstream as we thought. When it comes to these independent media creators, it should not be this serious. This is scary. This is scary. And that's what I mean. The Nelk stuff is scary. That's like modern day propaganda at that point. It really is. It's modern day propaganda. You don't think that you are a part of a COINTEL operation at this point? You don't even know. You just getting used. I'm sorry. Like, there's no way that these governments are saying, they're having a government advisor and they're saying, oh, you should go do the Nelk Boys podcast. Like, what? Benjamin Netanyahu on Nelk? The Full Send podcast? Where they do 3 chugs? They be chugging beer for fun? You mean where they go set up the 20 guys versus one virgin? What do you want me to say? How did you want to be evaluated in that moment? I'm actually dumbfounded on that. Man. Okay. Let's talk a little bit about, change the subject a little bit. Let's talk a little bit about Stephen Cobear. Man, I'd love to be able to just talk about this media stuff. I'm not gonna lie. I missed the show. I missed podding. If you didn't know, I had a podcast when I was a kid, high school podcast called Pillars to Society with some co-hosts Glenn and Kanai. Shout out to them. And that was my first installment of a podcast. High school happened, high school ended, went to college, so I didn't have the capacity to keep doing it. But then I met a couple of great guys in my club at school called GQ, Gentlemen of Quality. From there, we started a podcast called King's Corner, and that's where a lot of the structure, came from. Of, all right, how are we going to put out this podcast? I feel like I had a lot more people around that were a little bit more like-minded. I feel like the Pillars to Society was like, all right, I don't know. I felt like I was pushing it a lot. My friends were helping me, obviously, but like, I guess not as heavily podcasted minds or like as cared cared enough about media like that. King's Corner, came and went. We had a good couple of 7 episodes runs and stuff like that. I think like 7 or 8 episodes or something. But then, a couple of people moved away. And that's why at this point, I would like, I wanted to have co-hosts and whatnot. But at this point, I think it's necessary for me to want to get my voice out there. I comment on everything. I have a take about almost everything. My background, went to college, worked on Wall Street for a couple of summers, so I had to pitch every single day. I had to come up with trade ideas every single day, so I was reading news articles and I was making a trade from it, which is why I have some type of business and politics acumen. Now, media, that's my major, that's my bread and butter right there. This is what I do. What makes me happy, what makes me smile about this stuff, which is why I can talk about it a little bit. Now, Stephen Cobear, fired from the CBS late night show. Well, let me not say fired. They're canceling his show, and I think he has a couple of more months before they cancel it completely. If you don't know, CBS is owned by Paramount, and Paramount, this is back when I was on Wall Street actually last summer, Paramount was getting bought by Skydance. This has been going back and forth. Skydance is a production company, I'm pretty sure. I think they made don't quote me on this, but I think they made like a Mission Impossible, made a couple of series that went crazy in the box office, and they're purchasing out Paramount. Now, on some Rupert Murdoch stuff, if you don't know Rupert Murdoch, go watch the doc on HBO. Go watch the doc on HBO, or I don't know if they still have it there, actually. I think they got taken it down, not gonna lie. Aside from all that, they're getting purchased out by Skydance. Now, from what I remember, this deal was getting held up for the last couple of years. Held up within litigation, held up with a bunch of stuff. And at times, there was questions of if it's even going to go through. And I think at times, it was actually taken off the table. But it was supposed to go through. And then, the administration came in. Trump is suing CBS for $16 million, and they settled for $16 million. And Stephen Cobear was very adamant about speaking about that. I think he criticized it often on his show. Now, some people were speculating and saying that that's the reason as to why Stephen Cobear now does not have his show, is because he was talking bad about the administration and they wanted him gone. Now, they're also saying that $40 million, Stephen Colbert's show was losing around $40 million a year, which is a hefty number. So to be honest, who knows? What I can know is that if I'm Skydance, or what I can assume is that if I'm Skydance and I'm about to buy Paramount and we're about to do this merger, as a business owner, I have a couple of thoughts when it comes to this. I could look at Paramount and say, I don't want this headache of the administration suing y'all. We have to figure this out before we go through with this deal, because $16 million lawsuit is annoying, yes, but if this continues, maybe the administration does have a beef with Cobear. And if that's the case, maybe I don't want to take you on. Or that's one case. Maybe I don't want to deal with the headache. Or I could wait this out, see if you possibly get devalued more, and then I'm able to purchase you at a cheaper discount. All could be true. It could be none of that too. But I'm just telling you where my mind is going to this as well, is that no matter what, having a beef with the administration at the moment is just a headache. Why? Because they're able to tie you up in so many different contracts and stuff like that. You don't know where your money's getting tied into, and it's a problem for the company, especially the parent company. Now, letting go of your premier talent, I think he had the #1 late show, but they're saying that late shows all across the board aren't making money. Okay, then don't make him. In my opinion, when it comes to traditional media, I just don't understand why you would let go of your unicorn. I think Stephen Cobear, just like John Oliver at HBO, are great at what they do. I'm not a big late night person either. It's not my type of comedy or how I receive media, but I do watch a couple of their specials sometimes, and they do a great job. So why would you let go your unicorn? If we're talking about independent media and traditional media has been taking hits, significant hits, significant hits, because I don't watch any traditional media aside from like, I don't know, Love Island. And I barely watch Love Island. That was a joke. But kind of with my girl, chill. But I barely watch any traditional media. So and most of my friends I know barely watch any traditional media. So I already know that they're going through some hard times. I could check their stock account too. I can check the stock performance too, and I know that media is not doing the greatest. So why let go of the unicorn? They say they're losing $40 to $50 million. Could be true. Could definitely be true. Maybe they don't want to deal with the headache. Okay. Doesn't mean you let go of the person that everybody knows your platform because of. Or maybe it's the biggest late night show. In my opinion, I think on a corporate side, I think on an independent side, this is the best thing for Stephen Cobear. Best thing. I mean, man, this is what I'd be scared of if I'm CBS. Or Paramount. This is what I'd be scared of. Stephen Cobear leaves, just like what Fox did to Tucker, and he goes down the Tucker route. Oh my gosh, they're out of here. he's out of here. I've never seen that type of rebrand in my life when it comes to Tucker. Tucker over here, he was doing way more work in jabs to Ted Cruz than any of the independent media to Trump, Rogan, Theo Von. When they had all these guys on, they were barely asking those questions, but at least Tucker was holding Ted Cruz accountable, which is a crazy thing to say. Who would have thought? So when they go from traditional media, and mind you, I've been seeing this, even when it comes to like Mark Lamont Hill on the Joe Budden podcast, I see these TV guys move into the internet space, and man, they're able to work their way in. And be captivating. And I think Stephen Cobear now has that opportunity to, without having to do all these corporate strings attached as well. Maybe he does not have to answer to as many people. Hey, man, if I'm him, one of those writers' contracts up, I'm poaching them. Come over, and we going to do this independent. We going to keep it small, bring it to the studio. Matter of fact, man, listen, come to perspective. I'm joking. But it's interesting that they would let their unicorn go, knowing what Tarker Carlson just did with Fox News. I mean, like, man, he's out of here. He went to multiple different platforms and now is heavily respected as a journalist. Well, I think he's been heavily respected as a journalist, but now he's gone and gotten he's won a lot of people over in the last couple of years. And Stephen Cobear now has that runway. He has the blueprint. It's right there. He just got to follow it. Man. Last thing that I do want to talk about. I did talk a little bit about the Epstein stuff. And I could rein it in, but it's just not, again, it's not that I don't care about it, but it's just not my bag. I care about a lot more other stuff. Is independent media, Joe Budden podcast and Joe Budden's Patreon. They just dropped a New York Times article saying that he's on track to make $20 million a year with his podcast plus his Patreon. Now, as I've been saying, I watch all of these guys. I've been watching Joe again since I was like 15, 16. I've been watching the business model from a young jit. Been watching the business model. And one, it's just hats off, because to be able to create some type of business through all this turmoil, not knowing what's going to go on, take the risk on yourself. I mean, it is the blueprint for now. It's just what it is. Independent media is the best avenue for a lot of journalists, one, for a lot of conversationalists, podcasters, and for broadcasters. So I'm just excited for what's to come for me, because, man, how is that not inspiring to a lot of young creators? And you don't have to be a conversationalist or a broadcaster to get inspired by stuff like that. Man, this is the stuff that I be living for. Like this, I could have been a rapper and be inspired by stuff like that, because there's pivots. There's pivots, there's divots. There's times where you need to lay low. There's times where you need to pop out. As soon as I saw that 20 million headliner, I said, oh, he's going for 100. Oh, he's going for the bill. Because what that shows is that he's comfortable in saying what that number is. Because, man, the next number is 10x. The next number is 10x. So, man, that's just hats off. I just wanted to say that completely. And I think, I don't know how long we've been going for. Let me check how long we've been going for. Man, it's been some time. It's been some time. We've been going for like 40-some. I will be dropping interviews as well. I was thinking about whether to combine an interview format plus the 45 minutes of me talking and breaking down some type of current issues. And it's not going to be about media, obviously. I mean, I'm going to be talking about everything. It's just whatever is going to be current and something that's maybe tickling my heart, and hopefully it will be tickling yours. That'd be weird, but you see what I'm saying? Like stuff that's actually going to be important and pertinent for your ears. And if you want to hear about some different stuff, let me know. But yeah, so I was playing around with interview formats. I think I'm going to do, I want to bring Gen Z perspectives to a platform. And that's what perspective is, man. These flies is ridiculous. And that's what perspective is me bringing Gen Z perspectives, fresh and witty takes. Right there. Simple. But I got a whole bunch of people that I know, good connects, people that I know within Gen Z that are doing amazing things, and I think that should be highlighted and platformed. So I think I'm either going to interweave it at the end of these episodes, or I'm just going to drop it as separate episodes on the channel. It's not a podcast. It's a show. Go subscribe to the channel. Spotify, anywhere you can hear it, it should be there. Now, Perspective, the network, thank you for sponsoring. And I think that's it, man. It's been your host, Saadiq Spears, and I will see y'all next week with the latest current issues and how I digest it with my Gen Z fresh and witty perspective. Love y'all. And we're gonna close y'all out with some music. What we doing?
I'm sick and tired of all these hoes, but all the good ones shows. This ain't how it's supposed to be. My baby, my God, other soul, but I just know it's over.
Did y'all rock with the visuals, the trailer? Come on.
Freaking out, I gotta go, 'cause I just can't get over every girl that needs something to eat. So everybody across the globe, every single soul, drink up if you know what I need. You bounce it, you bounce it, when you bounce it, you move it, when you move it,
What? You gonna bring this into my shit? That's my friend. Violent. Violent. I said that's my friend.
I'm sick and tired of all these hoes, but all the good ones shows. This ain't how it's supposed to be. My baby, my God, other soul, but I just know it's over. She just can't get over me. I'm breaking out, I gotta go, 'cause I just can't get over every girl that needs something to eat. So everybody across the globe, every single soul, drink up if you know what I need.
What's up?
You got the work it.
What you gonna do for me when I bust it open? When I bend it over, bend it over. When I bust it open, bust it open. All for me, bend it over, bend it over. Bust it open, bust it open. When I bust it open,
I'm sick and tired of all these hoes, but all the good ones shows. This ain't how it's supposed to be.